Good afternoon, folks. It's your old pal Colby Evans here, coming to you with the new revamped version of the Start and Park podcast, now called the Arca Racing Podcast, where we'll focus more on the Arca Racing series rather than the NASCAR series, as well. That kind of has its own podcast, and the Start and Park stuff, I wasn't getting into it as much, so thought I'd take maybe a week or two off, revamp it, and let's just go with Arca Racing, because not a lot of people care about Arca, which is just sad. But me and a lot of my friends, we still love the series to our hearts. So I'm here to cover it all. Let's get right into it. Now, even though it did happen over a week ago, the Arca East Series concluded their series. And, well, really wasn't much of a series. Unfortunately, due to COVID, they only had 6 races. And actually had to include the main Arca series in 2 of those. At Bristol and think it was, I don't know, one of the other tracks. I'm already screwing up, but this is what you get when you're live. Anyway, let's just go ahead and look at the Pensacola 200 finale race results. We had 19 cars show up, which, to be fair, was not that bad, despite the huge weather problems, although I got a few insiders. Arca was begging cars to show up. But we had 19 cars show up with just 2 starting parks, Brad Smith and D.L. Wilson. 17 cars attempted the full race, with also some surprise entries from Daniel Dye, Grant Enfinger, Max Gutierrez, and my personal favorite, Dave Mayer III, who ran a surprising 11th. Now, like I said, only 6 races, so there was not much of a championship. Sam Mayer won decisively over Ty Gibbs, Nick Sanchez, Parker Retzloff, and Mason Diaz, rounding up the top 5. The funny part about all this is that despite only starting 4 races and start and parking all of them, our boy Brad Smith ended up 13th, which is just the best part about all of it. And like Brett Holmes ended up 10th in points as well. Oh God, the A Series was funny this year, but you know, they have to merge it. I mean, 6 races, 12, 13 cars full time, and a lot of just main ARC entries showing up. They have to do something about it. You know? Everyone thought, including me, that when they made this merge, that it'd be one big series that would travel the U.S. That's what it should have been. No. It's a still 3 series with even lower car counts. So yeah, Sam Mayer won the race decisively despite Grant Enfinger absolutely dominating the race. And personally, I would have rather seen Enfinger win and get a win for the Chad Bryant Racing Team, who has been really struggling this year, having to miss a couple of races and basically getting their ass saved with the original Gourmet Lollipop car, which, I don't care what anyone says, the original Gourmet Lollipop car was the best looking ARCA car of 2020. Hands down. Hands down. Now, the owner standings. Now, I was told that in the top 20, Arca gets owner's bonus. So I'm presuming it wouldn't be the same here because the East cars would get a lower car count. So if I'm correct, it is the top 15. And ironically enough, Brad made the top 15. Both of Andy Hillenberg's cars made the top 15. So I think you and I are both agreeing, fingers crossed, that they actually did get a little bit of a bonus for being inside that top 15 in the owner standings. But again, only 6 races, and we only had 42 different cars attempt those races, which is not good. But that's the East Series for you, man. It's just sad at the end of the day. But the one thing about the East Series and the ARCA Series that really has going for it, despite only 19 cars, that was one hell of a race. Like, even with only a couple of cars, those cars can still put on a good short track race. And that's why I just firmly agree, especially in this situation, ARCA should not run on any tracks bigger than Iowa. Iowa should be the biggest track they run on. Okay, throw in Daytona, but then that's it. Daytona, a dirt track, and then everything else is on short tracks under 7/8 of a mile. That would really help ARCA and encourage a lot of the late model teams to show up to these short track races. Because let's face it, No one wants to watch a 16-car race at Michigan. That was hard to watch. And I do the Start and Park point standings on my Start and Park Twitter account, but with only 6 races this season, there just wasn't much to keep track of. I guess you could just say Brad won it, but I didn't keep track of it. Technically, if you're looking at the owner's side of it, the 11 for Andy Hillenberg won the Start and Park Championship, but there's nothing to that. But anyway, I hope the E-Series gets merged into the main series next year, since most of the races anyway are on the East Coast. Because it's needed to save it. You know, I mean, you look at the purses. I believe for this race, last place paid $1,000. That's still better than the West Series, but still really bad, considering the entry fee is about $250 to $400. But we can only hope that Arca keeps going with the East Series, and we'll just see what it brings into 2021. But that was the East Series. Again, not much of a series this year. Sad, but kind of what we expected. Now, on to more recent stuff. The main Arca series concluded its season at Kansas with, yes, Brett Holmes, the family operation, defeating the big guys at Vannerini. Hell yeah. I don't think there was anyone who was sad about it. They deserve that so much for what they have been through. If anyone has followed Arca as long as I have, we saw Brett debut. We saw the struggles. We saw the 2018 struggle where they nearly shut down. And they weren't even supposed to run full time this year. They weren't. They were planned on about 15 races. Look at where it got them. Championship. Now, unfortunately, we only had 18 cars show up. And I was hoping we'd get at least 20, but it's just the nature of the beast. We had 18 cars show up, including the debuting Alex Club, and I want to spend a couple of minutes on this. This guy got screwed. Alex Club got screwed. This man killed himself on Facebook building this car. Go follow Club Racing on Facebook. This was a bare chassis less than a month ago. They built this car. I don't even know. I just don't know how to describe it. Him and a couple of his buddies outside of his lawn care business, when they had the time, would build this car. It showed up to Kansas, not even decaled. They decaled that car. They got it to tech. Unfortunately, they just had issues and couldn't make it out to practice. And because he's never made a big track start, he was forced to run just one lap. And I talked to Alex before the race, and I just... You couldn't help you just wanted to hug him. You know, he's a big teddy bear. Everybody loves Alex Club. He's just a big teddy bear. And I just felt so bad for him. Felt so bad for him. Worked his ass off to get to the frickin' track. Pardon my language. But for one lap. He deserved better. And I hope that with that car, he can run more races next year and actually get his money's worth out of that car instead of one lap and a meaningless $1,500 payout. Our old pal Wayne Peterson, even though Con Nicolopoulos was scheduled to drive the car, Wayne ended up driving the car for... I remember we were sitting on the box and he came by at speed and boy, that guy was flying. And it was so funny. Him just trotting around on that old Chevrolet. But yeah, he completed 2 laps in 17th. And then our final start in park was, of course, Owen Smith, who did win the last car championship from William Soket and my boy Brock Beard. He won that championship, even though Brad Smith won the start in park championship. As many of you know, I posted it to Twitter. I was helping out Brad Smith that day. Holy crap, did we have issues. Now, keep in mind, we've been running the same car all year. I helped him out at Gateway about a month ago. The car was not in good shape then. It really wasn't in good shape now. A lot of issues with it. And that's just because it's an old car. You know, Brad does what he can. Me and the other guys did what we could. But going into the race, I don't even think we had a clutch. I don't think we had a clutch. I think we had to push start him. No, I don't quite remember all that. But the car was not running good. We were barely holding pace. To be fair, I think we weren't even going minimum speed. Brad was just trying everything he could to stay on the track and make laps despite being very slow. And eventually, we made it to the first stage. We tried running the second stage, but no, we came down pit road. We didn't like what we saw. So Brad eventually just parked it, and we were sitting 14th because, ironically enough, a really bad day for the Toyotas. Side note here, the 25, the 20, and the 18 all had fuel issues with the car. Very weird for Toyota, and especially in the finale race. So we were 14th, but we got kicked back to 15th. I wish we could have ended the note on a full race deal, but hey, that's what low-budget Arca gets you. Still a great day, though. Cannot shout out Brad Smith enough for giving me the chance to do a couple of races with him. If you guys want to support an underdog, Brad Smith's the guy. You know, anyone who says that these guys who are slow don't deserve to be there, shut up. I want you to come to the track, and I want you to say that to Brad's face and see what happens. These men have been doing this longer than we've been alive. So yeah, then we had 14 cars attempt the full race, which is just sad. But like I said, the 20 and the 18 had their own issues. An interesting note on the entry list this weekend was Mike Basham. Now, the owner listed as Chad Bryant, and it was a Ford, which Chad runs. But this was not a Chad Bryant car, as I wished it would have, because if it was, Mike could have easily gotten top 10. This was an Andy Hillenberg car with the 77 on it. Now, the entry list in general was kind of funky. The 10 car for that weekend was a Venerini car with Andy's number. The 12 car, another Andy's number, was run under Chad Bryant Racing with Chris Wright. So it's kind of as if the 12 and the 77 just kind of switched positions almost. But nonetheless, Mike did a good job with what tires they had. I remember their pit box was right next to us. They had one set of scuffs in the pits. And Andy's guys, awesome dudes, hardworking guys. Looking back on it, the decision to do K&N style pit stops in Arca was the best decision ever, because hiring these Excalibur pit crews for $3,000, $5,000 and then only getting like a $2,000 payout was just not working. Especially for teams like Andy, really helps them out. Tim Richmond and Wayne Peterson, we got a lot of talked about on there. Boy, normally they're full of joy and happiness, but man, I could tell in the beginning of the day when we were going through tech, something was just up. You know, they did not have a lot of help. Their normal guys from the UNOH didn't show because of COVID, I believe. I don't know. I don't quite remember why. But they were just not in the best of moods. You know, and then came practice. Tim, car was good. It's a good car. They have a good car under them. Tim went into 3. Car got tight. Just lost it. Nothing you can do, man. You haven't been on the track. It was his first lap. Smacked the wall. Not badly. Not totaled. They had to work on it. Knocked in a crush panel. Still finished 11th. You know, still ended the year on a pretty solid note. Then shit got stolen. Right out of the Hampton Inn parking lot. Whoever took it, I hope you burn in hell. I really do. And it was just the happiest news in the world to find out from Tim yesterday that everything had been recovered pretty much. Just a few things that can be replaced. But for a guy who worked so hard, and Tim Richmond and Sonny Richmond, and then Wayne, to have that happen to them is just bull crap. Disgraceful. And whoever did that, like I said, you can rot in hell for that. But they still recovered to a 11th place finish. And talking with Tim, it looks like the deal will continue for a 3rd year, which is perfect. It's exactly what Wayne needs. I think it's a great combination. You got a good kid who's just trying to get the experience before he can move up to a better team. And you got the old legend who wants to keep going, man. And there's nothing better support than that. 10th place, Eric Caudel. It's good to see him showing up the last couple of races. They've got a couple of cars in the works. Don't really know what their 2021 situation is. They will be at Daytona. That's all I can confirm, is that Eric will be at Daytona. Kimmel Racing this year has also been a sad story. You know, they've been kind of just hanging on by doing start and parks. This year, though, when they didn't even have the money to start and park, they didn't show up. And it was just sad, you know, because Kimmel Racing has been the mainstay of Arca, both in start and parks and full race deals, since about 2008, 2009 was when they showed up. But Scott ran a great race. Stayed out of trouble. They're actually running a Chevrolet this week, which was kind of surprising. Usually they run Toyotas or Fords. But ran 9th. Did a good job. Then you had the 8 competitive cars. And they did about what you could. And give a shout out to Derek Griffith. His best run ever. 3rd. Really good run for the Lollipop car. Also, shout out to Chad Bryant Racing. They had a lollipop display there where they gave out free lollipops. Original gourmet lollipops. Wow. Really good. Golden Eagle Syrup. Brett Holmes. It took him 19 races to get a damn sponsor. Smart, though, by Golden Eagle. Getting all that free advertising for winning the championship. They brought the same car, but they were beaten. Still finished 2nd, though, which got him a decent payout. But Corey Heim, boy, this kid came out of nowhere. Now, he ran good in the July race there. Finished 4th. And boy, he took over after 18 laps, and he didn't look back. And the best part about this, the 10 car, even though it was a Venturini entry, the owner's Andy Hillenberg. This is Andy's first win in so long! Yes! Man, I was flipping out when the 10 car won, because I'm like, yes! Andy won! Kinda! Oh, that's what you love to see. You know, it's like the family-owned team wins the championship and an Andy Hillenberg-owned entry wins the race. That is Arca in a nutshell. Like, that's what you would say in Arca back in the 90s. Anyway, though, I mean, like I said, despite an 18-car field, it was competitive. It was fun to watch. In my opinion, the Cup Series, and take this with a grain of salt, but the Cup Series should really base their package on the Arca Series. Because it's actually quite an entertaining package to watch. They were doing a good job. Because the Arca cars were running about the same lap times as the Cup cars. That's what it used to be back in 2000. Back when, you know, Arca cars were just Cup cars. But yeah, going back to, like I said, to Brad Smith. You know, if you want the grind, you know, if you want to work for a low-budget team, it's what it's like working for Brad. You show up, you unload the car. You don't get a nice liftgate with an air-conditioned hauler. You get the cold air. You get an old trailer that's barely hanging together. But you know what you feel? The vibes, passion, the grind, and the respect to keep going. We got the car out, and there was just... Don't quite remember what all we were doing, but we had a lot of issues before we had to go to tech. And you felt passion. You felt more respect. Getting it done. And we got to tech. Then we got the car on the grid for practice. And, you know, everybody has these nice meals prepared for the crew members. You know what? We had Burger King. Burger King! Yeah! Yeah, and we sat down on the floor and ate. That is why these low-budget teams have more respect. You know, and suiting up, it's the best feeling ever. Even though if you're not changing tires, suiting up is still fun as hell. And it's kind of funny because with our old car, we still have the catch can. We still have a catch can in our car, if you didn't know that. But yeah, if we had ran the full race... probably would have blew up. So it was best that we did what we did. I look forward to 2021, and hopefully I end up working with Brad in Daytona. And like I said, guys, all I can say is just don't give up on Arca. It's a fun series to watch, even if the car counts are so low. As for the Starting Park Championship, it was kind of a battle between all season between Mike Basham and Brad. Of course, Mike actually ended up doing some full race deals at the end of the season, which kind of took him out of it. Owen Smith made a late season charge in the Starting Park Championship, but as always, you ain't going to beat Brad Smith. And Brad won the Starting Park Championship, which is not the accomplishment you want, but it is what it is. The biggest Arca news that developed was not actually during the race, but the race the next day in the truck race was when Hailie Deegan was making her debut. She will go full-time next year in the number 17 Ford. Now, I can tell you straight up, guys, I'm not the hugest fan of her. Being in the garage, she's not the best. Her crew is nice as hell. Like Frank Kimmel, awesome dude. But that's just my opinion. My opinion. You got the Hailie Deegan fan bots on Twitter. That's just my opinion. Wish her nothing but the best next year. I just hate it because it pretty much takes away all the steam from Arca. Everybody talking about Michael Self and how he choked away another championship. It is kind of funny that pretty much the best funded car in Arca 2 years in a row didn't win the championship, and right now it doesn't sound like it's going to be renewed for another 3-year deal, which is a shame because they'd pretty much be a sue-in for next year. Looking at the owner's points, you guys pretty much know the driver's points. You had the 4 competitive guys and gal. You had Michael Self second, Hailie Deegan was third, Drew Dollar was fourth. Ty Gibbs, despite missing 7 races, Ty Gibbs still finished fifth. Brad Smith in sixth, and man, that just, in a nutshell, that just tells you how funny Arca is. Mike Basham finished 10th in points. Oh, it's great. But as for the owner standings in Arca, without a doubt, with all the wins they had, it was kind of obvious. Coy Gibbs, who actually owns the 18, not Joe Gibbs, this is under Coy Gibbs' operations, won the championship decisively. Stacy Holmes was in second. Venerini cars rounded out the top 5 and 10. Andy Hillenberg with probably his best year, getting 2 of his cars in the top 10. Wayne Peterson rounding out the top 10 in owner's points, which kind of sucks because then he'd be able to go to the banquet, but unfortunately they're not having it. Brad finished 12th in the owner standings. And keep in mind, the top 20 get the big, not a big bonus, but a semi-bonus at the end of the year. That is also why we saw the 0 car for Peterson Motorsports being entered in at the last couple of races. Not only due to car counts, but that car was actually sitting 23rd in the standings. So along with the 0-6, if they could get the 0 in the top 20, they'd get a little bonus for that car too, as the 0 did, ending up 17th in the points. Now, it's important to note that only 12 cars attempted every race, which is not good, and probably going to be even less next year, sadly, but it's the nature of the beast. But if you guys never knew that, just like in Xfinity where the top 30 get a bonus, and ARC gets the top 20. Now, it can't come down to full race teams, because if that was true, then only 11 would get the bonus. Like right now, 20th in ARCA points was Shigi Hattori's team. They only ran 5 races, but they still get a bonus check from Arca anyway. So that was pretty much the Arca finale. Like I said, lots of fun. If you don't support the low-budget teams in Arca, I don't know what's wrong with you. You got your own problems. But even though the East Series season is over, the main Arca season is over, we're still not done yet, folks. The West Series still has 3 races left, which includes a doubleheader this weekend at All-American Speedway and Kern County Raceway Park, with both being sponsored by Napa in Ineos Motor Oil, which has kind of been the same all year. And boy, I've been posting it online. If you think Arca payouts are bad, wait till you see the West Series. Now, the entry lists have been revealed, and of course, we're going to look at the All-American one first. If I can get them pulled up on my computer, which is old as hell, it takes forever to load. We have a whopping 13 entries, which is usually about the full-time 11 entries, along with Taylor Gray and Mason Diaz from the East Series. And I feel like this is kind of a... and I feel like this is almost kind of like a contract run because, you know, Mason only got 6 races, and they probably paid for like 10 races. So I would assume like maybe this is just Venturini making up for lost ground. You know what I mean? But yeah, we got the 11 full-time cars and then the 2 others. Which, again, is sad. 13 cars. Wait till you guys see the payouts. I can't put it up on the screen, but I can tell you. First place gets $3,000. That's worse than your local short track. They wonder why they're getting 13 cars. 6th place pays the same as 12th place. $500. That doesn't even cost half a set of tires. And I knew I said that wrong. The entry fee alone is $250. How? I just want to know, how does even McAnally Racing survive on that? I don't know how. You know, how does a team like Takuma Koga's team survive on that, getting $500 every week? Bobby Hillis Jr. in the Camry, how does he survive?